Hello and welcome to the New Indian Express Online. I'm Bansi Kadapa. With me is Mr. Mani Lal, who served as resident editor of two national dailies. Mr. Lal, welcome on this program. We'll be talking about the exciting Uttar Pradesh politics.
Thank you so much for inviting me on this program. I'm very happy to share my views on this.
For the first time in so many years, we're seeing a straight fight between two large parties. So until now, we have seen a tri-cornered fight or sometimes a multi-cornered fight also. But this time, the battle lines are defined, and it's a straight, fight between two, very large parties in UP.
The first phase accounts for about 58 seats spread across 11 districts.
That's right.
And in the last election, the BJP had 153 of them, which is almost a clean sweep, leaving 5 seats for the other parties. But now, the major difference is that the BJP has been in power in UP for the last 5 years. In all the elections, when the BJP managed to do well, that is 2014, 17, and 19. In 19, the BJP was in power, but before that, it was a major opposition party, and it had been trying hard to bring all the Hindu groups together to prove a formidable, formation to take on the Samajwadi Party and the BSP.
That's right.
The BJP has succeeded in marginalizing at least the BSP and the Congress to some extent, because both the parties suffer from a lack of leadership, a lack of direction, and also because the parties have been out of power for quite a large number of years.
Correct.
The Samajwadi Party has emerged on the scene because of mainly 2 or 3 reasons. One is that Akhilesh Yadav is still considered to be, aggressive enough and forceful enough to take on the challenge of the BJP and the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, whereas the other parties do not have such a formidable leader. That is one. And the second thing is that the Samajwadi Party has also managed to put together an alliance with the Rashtriya Lok Dal, which has been an important party in Western UP, carrying the legacy of Charan Singh and Ajit Singh forward. Jayant Chaudhary, the present leader of the RLD, has managed to get a substantial number of seats from the SP as part of the alliance, and the two parties have put up a very strong fight in certain areas. So because of this, the fight appears to be a direct one between the Samajwadi Party, RLD combined on one side, and the BJP on the other side. This has caused a lot of interesting turns in the local politics, because so far a lot of Dalits and Muslims used to have their allegiance with the BSP, which is no longer there in the picture. There used to be areas which were loyal to the Congress party in Saharanpur and nearby areas, of course, which are going to the polls in the second phase. But again, they are nowhere in the picture. So because of the weakening of the BSP and the Congress, the fight has turned into a bipolar one between the BJP and the SP, which is being seen by most people here in Lucknow and elsewhere in Western UP as an indication that the Samajwadi Party has succeeded in, taking over a large part of areas in which were influenced by the Congress and the BSP in the past. Now, this is a very big development, you see, because as I mentioned earlier, this area had seen considerable pockets of influence of the Congress and BSP, but they are no longer there. So that is why the fight appears to be between two major formations. And this is, for many voters in the area, this appears to be a very different kind of a scenario, which will force them to choose between the two.
Absolutely. Also, one interesting feature in this round of polls is that castes have suddenly come to the fore. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, in fact, we started noticing it some weeks ago when a lot of people, including ministers and legislators and other party office bearers, started deserting the BJP,
That's
and
right.
they went to either the SP or the BSP or to some other parties,
Mhm.
mainly because they alleged that because of their caste, they were not treated with the dignity and respect in the BJP, and they very openly said that the BJP did not have place for certain groups of people who were marginalized. I mean, you have the Mauryas and Shakyas and Sainis and Rajbhars. I mean, leaders of these four prominent parties, they quit the BJP and went to other parties, mainly the SP.
Mhm.
So it since then it has been noticed that some castes which were important components of the OBC and the MBC, that is the most backward caste groups,
Mhm.
they had been solidly behind the BJP since 2014, but now there seems to be an unease among them to go out to other parties, explore their space in Samajwadi Party or even the BSP.
Mhm.
And this somehow stems from a feeling that these castes have not been able to get the kind of recognition and the kind of space they expected. And there is an increasing tendency across UP. I mean, we will see it in central and eastern UP also, that certain castes are now coming up with their caste identity more strongly than ever.
Mhm.
In the last 5 years, caste identities had become kind of submerged under the larger Hindu identity. But
Absolutely.
this time they are coming up with their caste identity more strongly than ever, which indicates that even caste with small pockets of dominance in western, central, and eastern UP,
Correct.
they want to be, they want to be in the reckoning. They want to be considered for what they are worth, even if they are small in number.
Correct.
There could be an unease among them to get out of the bigger Hindu community umbrella, and
Mhm.
they would like to be treated as a separate subgroup in the
Mhm.
community.
Mhm. Correct. Also, another interesting feature is that this round of polls is so critical for the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, on the one hand, and the Chief Minister, Mr. Yogi, on the other.
Yes, in fact, I remember that in 2017, when the elections took place,
Mhm.
nobody expected Yogi Adityanath to become the chief minister. It
Absolutely.
was a surprise decision. It was a surprise choice. The
Mhm.
BJP and the RSS might be having their own reasons and calculations, but Yogi came and he became the chief minister.
Mhm.
It whatever the calculations behind choosing him, but he has managed to consolidate the pro-Hindu elements in society,
Mhm.
among the people, among the voters, by his aggressive stance on Hindu cultural practices, Hindu cultural ethos and symbols and icons. His focus on talking about the so-called appeasement done for the Muslim community and for the OBCs in the
Mhm.
past, and also because of his renewed efforts to recall that during the governments headed by the SP and BSP in the past,
Mhm.
certain classes of the Hindu society were not given what they deserved or what they expected.
Mhm.
See, we are not going into the merits of these points he has raised, but they
Mhm.
have touched a chord in the hearts and minds of many people who now consider Yogi Adityanath to be an important torchbearer
Mhm.
of the Hindu ethos,
Mhm.
and also as the strongest pro-Hindutva voice in the BJP today. And that puts him above all the BJP leaders in North India as of now, and perhaps the most important chief minister of the BJP among the states which it rules. Now, considering this, he presides over a state which has 80 Lok Sabha seats and 403 assembly seats, which is a huge number.
Yes, yes.
Now, we can very easily imagine that this number matters a lot for Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. You see, the number of MLAs in the state matters a lot in the Rajya Sabha nominations also. So I think now the situation has become so critical for the BJP in the center that having a certain number of seats in UP is very important for the stability of the government in Delhi, whether it is the numbers in Lok Sabha or the numbers in Rajya Sabha. So that explains why for the BJP retaining UP with a huge majority will be important. Secondly, it is believed that Yogi could be cultivated for a bigger role after some years, either in the state or at the center. And for that, he has to emerge a victor in UP also. If the party is looking for a role for him in Delhi after 4, 5, 10 years, whatever number, then he has to keep up his streak of winning, like Modi did in Gujarat. We must not forget that. So I think it is for this reason that a big victory in Uttar Pradesh is important for the BJP. Number one, for the BJP to remain a force to reckon with for the next few years. Number two, for Yogi to maintain and keep up his image of being a strong Hindutva proponent and a BJP leader. And thirdly, for the numbers UP contributes to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and consequently to the stability of the Modi government also till 24.
Correct. Also, one more issue is if you look at the present round of elections, there is this if you look at Bharatiya Janata Party in 2014, if you look at them in 2019, it was like a bulldozer. They just went through the system and won so convincingly in 2014 and
That's
2019.
Right.
But if you look at recent elections, let's say post West Bengal polls, there is some kind of a disconnect between winning and BJP, because earlier you had almost assumed if it is BJP, victory is theirs. But now there is some kind of a disconnect between victory and Bharatiya Janata Party. So, is there something that is missing in their chemistry, in their winning formula? Is there something that has gone missing, or, something is not adding up? Are you noticing, those signs?
In fact, I can recall the kind of victories they had in Goa, in Uttarakhand, in Gujarat for that matter, in Haryana, in Jharkhand. I mean, they lost some and they could only manage a victory by, post-election management, as we saw in Madhya Pradesh also, for that example.
Correct.
So I think the BJP has managed to retain some mind space among the voters, but whatever it took to get a very clean kind of victory, as it happened in 2014-15 up to 2016 maybe. After that, the winning streak has become a little diluted, let us say. So I think the BJP also is undergoing a lot of transformation, as I can see, by becoming more like a party which is not dominated by upper caste Hindus, but it has been considered as an OBC party now, accommodating more Dalits and accommodating more people from the marginalized sections of society. It has been doing this very consciously. Let us not forget that. So I think the BJP is trying to, reach out to areas where it was not there. It is trying to reach out to people who are not connected with the BJP. Look at Punjab for that matter. Look at northeastern states for that matter. Look at Karnataka, where you have the BJP as a formidable force, whereas Karnataka used to be a Congress state or a GDS state for years. But today, Karnataka is more or less a BJP state, with the party having developed strong roots. So I think the BJP's idea is to spread slowly and steadily even if the numbers are not there. By having a pan-India presence, I think the party is looking for a bigger role to play than mere numbers. It aims at winning the elections, even if the numbers are not too good. Look at Madhya Pradesh and look at Haryana and even look at Karnataka. I mean, the numbers are not very comfortable in Karnataka, but the party is well handling the government responsibilities with caution, because it knows that the government could be precarious if if a few numbers change. So I think the party is undergoing a transformation, and that is why there is this disconnect between huge victory and the BJP, as used to be the norm from 2014 to 2017. And I think it also reflects a kind of change in thinking of the BJP top leadership, that winning big may not be important, but winning is more important.
So there it is, Mr. Manilal explaining the what is out there in Uttar Pradesh, even as polling has started. So thank you for watching this program.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.